Hey everybody, welcome to a new Nix video about Diablo 4. This time we're going to be talking about Season 4. I had a script ready and everything, but I recorded it once with the script and it just didn't work. So I kind of want to talk to you guys from the heart. So what they've done is they've removed a lot of the friction that has to do with the like 1 to 50 or 1 to 100 even leveling. And they've added a bunch of quality of life. So when I jumped into the game a couple days ago, I just kind of jumped into a barbarian. I was thinking, okay, I'm going to play a barbarian and I want to go through the motions of leveling up. I want to see what it's like. So you go into the game and the first thing you do is you pick up this new quest. Once you've skipped the campaign, go into the new quest with the Iron Wolves. And it's all about the Hell Tides this season. So Hell Tides are now in Act 1 and they've been reworked with more activities and more things to do. What they've done is they've taken the Season 2 Blood Harvest mechanics and they've spliced it with the Hell Tide. Back in Season of Blood, you had to collect keys to then start activities. And what they've done now is they've added the cinders and the hearts, and so you can walk around, kill everything you want, and then from time to time there'll be a group activity that you can launch and bosses. And those feel really good. I mean, from level 1, I was basically like thrown into it and there was just zero friction, especially when it came to like the first 20 levels, like before you need to get your first potions and stuff like that. Like it was just like straight into it. Well, the amount of enemies on the screen was huge for Diablo and you just feel powerful from the get-go. It can be a bit of a struggle at the beginning, but then soon after that, you start getting more powerful, you start getting gear. The gear has been simplified, so in my experience from 1 to 50 at least, the only thing I had to worry about was the item level. So I would just pick up new gear, have a look at the item level, salvage the rest, and there's some really amazing quality of life things that they've added here, especially in terms of the aspects. So as I mentioned, you keep leveling, and then you soon get like the orange gear, and you get the aspects, and you can just take that out by scavenging them. And instead of collecting these aspects, which was it was a huge problem for me in this game, was that you would just get all these aspects in your inventory and you'd have to kind of go through them, and it's a nightmare. And I love the fact that now you just salvage the unique items. You get that aspect as a modifier that you can apply to any of your gear, and that's it. You don't even need additional stash tabs. It's just become so much easier to get through it and to gear up. It's great. The early game for me was a chore before this update. You would jump into the game, back in Season 3, especially Season 3, jump into the game, have to do all the leveling again, and there was a lot of friction there. Now they've removed a lot of that friction. You just jump straight into the Hell Tides, the huge amount of enemies, and you're just leveling up much faster. I think it took me like 3 hours to get to level 50. Crazy, really, but also is great because it helps me motivate myself to create new characters, right? Because I can reach that end game faster and I can get a much faster feel for this character also. If I'm not really into Barbarian this season, I can just switch over. For me, having Hell Tides in Act 1, it feels really good, actually. I don't think it would feel that good and maybe a bit confusing if I was a new player, but as a returning player who can just skip the campaign and I've got all my stuff unlocked, that leveling experience, it's just fun. I like it. Not to mention that because I can just re-roll these talent points whenever I want to, I'm playing around with them a lot more. Of course, you can follow the best builds around, and there's a million guides for that, sure. But if you want to make your own builds, there's a lot of space for exploring that before you hit level 50, and I really appreciate it. It's fun. It's clearly what the game should have released at the beginning, but it took a lot of feedback from the users, the players, to get to where we're at right now. They had some idea of what they wanted to rush out the door when it released, but now they've streamlined a lot of the issues that we had with it, especially when it comes to itemization. And I think, yeah, it's a very solid foundation. It's not anything groundbreaking, but this feels like a very good ARPG in its own right now. A great campaign, itemization is good, the aspects are fun, lots of space and room to play with the builds. Yeah, it's really solid. Not to mention that, I love lore, right? And lore is a huge part of why I play Diablo games. I love them. I love that universe. I love the demons, the angels. I love all of it. And now that we have this solid foundation, I am getting really excited for the DLC. I've said it in previous videos that this season was, for me, a make or break moment for the game. It was either they were going to succeed with Season 4, like they have, honestly, or they were going to fail. And if they failed Season 4, then we were kind of back to like hoping that the next season would fix things, but also feeling largely unheard. I think they've really turned a corner here. And this season 4 just feels like Rate 1.0. Does that make sense? It feels like up until now, we were kind of playing the early access version of this, although quite further on, considering there's a full campaign on launch and all that. But in terms of the aspects and the itemization, definitely a early access game. But now, yeah, I think we've got something pretty good going on. The items feel impactful, and leveling up feels really good with the fewer affixes on the items. So you get a much better, clearer idea of what items are better for other ones just really quickly. I like that. Genius move. Is it a genius move? Am I going to edit this out? I don't know. Maybe it's not a genius move, but it's a very good player-centric, player-focused move to change the aspects and put them into a codex of power, right? You don't have to worry about aspects in your inventory taking up space, and that's 80% of the hassle gone. I've spent, in season 3, I was spending as much time filtering through items than I was playing the game. And they've removed that completely. Like, you don't have to worry about this friction anymore. You can just focus on what you need. If you need a specific aspect, you can roll obol items, and that's also been buffed. And then you can kind of salvage them in like that, and you have the aspect unlocked forever. I love that. Not to mention that the aspect will level up as you salvage better and better versions of that aspect, and you unlock that. And I really like that progression. It feels good, I like that. It cemented itself as the perfect pick up and play ARPG. It really does. I like PoE, of course, but most of my friction with that game comes with the inventory, the management, the crafting, to be honest. Here it feels I'll be honest, it feels much more casual. It feels like, this is an ARPG for people who play a couple of hours a day, or maybe 3 hours every 2 days, something along those lines. And it does feel now that they respect your time. You can have fun day one, and one of my main problems with Path of Exile, which I didn't think would be a problem, but it ended up being a problem as I played my 4th character. It was like, I don't want to do the campaign again. There's no fun involved in doing the campaign for the 4th time. I can't imagine doing it for the 100th time. You're just blitzing through it. And yeah, if I had to do the Diablo campaign every time, which is 50% shorter than PoE campaign, I'd be upset. You know what I mean? Like, no, this is better. This is a really good for the game. And it's making me want to cover the game a lot more. I'm sorry for everybody who plays Path of Exile and who has joined the channel for that, but I need to play what I feel is fun for me. And that doesn't mean I'll be stopping Path of Exile. I think it's an amazing game, and I'll be playing that a lot more. Diablo 4 has got my attention right now, and I'm going to be very excited for what's coming up, the new DLCs. And even if they don't change much in the upcoming seasons, I think I'll be happy. I think that this foundation is really good. So I want flavor for the next few seasons. I want theme. I want quests. I want epic moments. That's what I want to see in these new seasons that are coming up until autumn, where the first DLC will be released. That's what I want out of Diablo 4. And I think that's what a lot of people want out of it too. If you're a Path of Exile player, you're not going to love Diablo 4, I don't think, because of the frictionless part of it and the fact that you don't need spreadsheets and stuff like that. Like, that's very clear for Path of Exile. For other people who don't have maybe the amount of time, I think Diablo does a good job. Now, I think this season you can get, 50 hours out of this game, probably 50 hours out of this season, and then you can just move on to play another game. Go back to Path of Exile. I think that's fair. Path of Exile is like the endless game that keeps on giving, right? And I think people spend probably upwards of 200 to 300 hours on each season, each league, as they call them. Here, I think Diablo 4 just feels like a really good 50 to 100 hours and having a good time throughout. I would also encourage people to play with other people on Diablo 4, and as well as Path of Exile, to be fair. But I think the co-op in Diablo 4 is in a really good place right now. One of the experiences that I've gotten to try recently also is playing Diablo on a Steam Deck. And let me tell you, that is an amazing little experience to have. And I think it's because Diablo 4 was also built for consoles in mind, right? So it also feels okay on a controller, where I think Path of Exile is a bit murky. I think Diablo 4 feels good on a controller, which means that on the Steam Deck, it just feels right at home. And the fact that you can just play on your couch feels really good. Now, what I would really like to see is an offline mode. If I could just play Diablo 4 in offline mode, from anywhere in the world on the Steam Deck, wow, that would really elevate the game. So let's talk about the cons, and I have two big ones. So the first one is that I think a lot of people are going to find it too easy. The first, 50 levels or so, they're going to say it's frictionless, and that's a problem, and there's no challenge and stuff like that. And I understand the point, but I disagree about that being a problem. I think it's actually a huge boon for me, because I used to only be able to focus on one character a season, and if I was lucky, I could kill Lilith, get to level 100, but I would really have to put in the effort in terms of like grinding. And I feel like with this season, I don't know too much about the end game right now, except that they've added Andariel again, which is my favorite. I think I'm going to be able to do 2 characters this season, basically, if I put my mind to it. And I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm going to finish the Barbarian and see how far I can go with that, play around with some builds, maybe try my own build, actually, because of how painless it is, and then go from there, I think. I think that's a good shout. So yeah, is that really a bad point, that it's frictionless? I don't think so. I think it's good. If you want more friction, I guess you could just play the campaign again. See how that feels for you. Is the end game fixed also? It might be a con. Potentially not. I don't think they've really fixed that end game grind. I think the items and the aspect are a huge part of getting that end game to where it's supposed to be, but I don't think they're quite there yet. And I think we will be at a really solid end game, not by next season, but I think by autumn we'll have something really solid. There's enough here, as I said, to fill in at least 100 hours. To go further than that, I think they need to make some big changes to the end game, and not so much in terms of like quality of life improvements. I think we've done that. I think we're good. I think it more has to do with experiences and the things that you can play in the game, if that makes sense. Activities, choice of activities. Right now, there's kind of like one or two ways to play the game up until you're at the most powerful you can be. I think if we can do parallel ways to get to that, that'd be great, so that you player can have the choice, right? As I've mentioned in other videos, maybe I want to focus on grinding Nightmare Dungeons, although I don't think I do, or maybe I just want to focus on bosses. Is there a way for me to like get to that max level with only bosses? Could that be something? Or maybe, I'm really, really a proponent of this, but like, let us choose a faction. I think faction gameplay would work really well in Diablo. I think it needs to be something that has a lot of impact on how you play the game, but it also has to mean a lot. I don't think if we introduce factions into this game at level 50 or level 100, I think you need, or 75, I think that choice needs to be definite for that character. And it needs to come with like big changes, potentially new glyphs or new aspects or new gear, that would be good. I still haven't bought one piece of cosmetic actually in this game. I'm just doing the season pass, and I think that'll do me. The season pass armors look fine. And to be fair, like I also get along well with just the pieces of armor that you have in the game that you unlock in the game naturally for free. I think they look pretty sick. So I'll still be using that. I don't feel the need to put $50 or $20 into a skin right now. And it's fun how that has changed over time, where I used to really be against cosmetics, and then I played Path of Exile and I spent $90. I'm like a tortoise. Now I'm just like, okay, Diablo obviously took a lot of cosmetic ideas in terms of like the pricing from Path of Exile, without, of course, delivering the amount of content in the end game, which is the friction point for me there. But in any case, I don't think Diablo needs the cosmetics as much as Path of Exile does. That's not a plus. It's not a pro. It's not a con. It just is what it is. In any case, the conclusion of this video is that I think this is a solid foundation. This is what I should have released at back on launch day. I don't think that would have been ever possible without the feedback from you guys, from the people who play the game. I'm really proud of the developers. I know it sounds weird, but that's how I feel. I think, through a lot of negative feedback and memes and stuff, I think that can really get to you. And I think they've done a good job at getting this much content in so fast. So good job on them. I really wish the best for the next following seasons. Just give us more stuff to do in the end game. I think you've fixed the early game. I think it's 1 to 50, 1 to 60, you're good. I don't think you need to change anything to that. Keep the Hell Tides in and give us something extra to do. That can be done in parallel with other things to specialize. I think that would be great. Maybe also some cosmetic hunts would be fun. Some specific cosmetics that you can only get by killing a certain boss, doing it over and over, engaging with the game. Maybe group play also could be fun. New world bosses would be great. I think focus on that. I don't think you're watching, but Yeah, and I know that if you're watching this video, you're probably a Path of Exile player. So if that's the case, give D4 a shot. If you don't want to, that's fine. Keep the Path of Exile. I get that. But don't ruin it for the rest of the people who like Diablo. All right. On that note, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you in the next lore video, potentially. Who knows? Anyway, we'll see you soon.